Welcome back to another episode of The Movie Shelf. That's where we take a movie off this shelf, watch it, review it between 1 and 100, and then put that up against every other film that we're watching in this series to get an absolute list. The top 10 can always be found at the end of each episode. Today is one of the things I both love to talk about and I hate to talk about it at the same time. And there's a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to talk fast because I want to get this in under 20 minutes. We're doing 2018's Green Book. All right, Green Book is PG-13, directed by comedic film director Peter Farrelly of the Farrelly Brothers. And it was written by Nick Vallelonga, who is the son of the principal character, Tony Lip, or Frank Anthony Vallelonga. I'm going to try and not say that name as many times as possible because it is a mouthful. This had a budget of $23 million. It had a return of $321.8 million. So that's huge. Stars Viggo Mortensen as Tony Lip. It stars Mahershala Ali as Dr. Donald Shirley and Linda Cardinelli as Dolores. We'll just say Dolores. She has that same last name as the main character, so we're not going to do that as many times as possible. Let's talk Oscars because we can on this episode. This film won 3 Academy Awards out of 5 nominations. And those awards were Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor in a Supporting Role by Mahershala Ali, and Best Picture. That's right. This is our first Best Picture that we're getting to review, and I'm excited about that. That excites me because I want to do them all, and then we'll make a special list of Best Picture winners and what order they go in. That's a fantastic idea. This movie deals with a subject that I fucking hate, and that's racism. There's no place in the world for it today. What are you even thinking? You don't like somebody because we're not even going to go there. I'm probably going to edit that out. You know what? If you're not racist, I love you. Thank you so much for being you. If you're racist, I still love you. But what the fuck, man? Figure your shit out. All right. The title and subject matter of Green Book is a reference to the Negro Motorist Green Book. All right. And what that is it was a manual published between 1936 and 1966. Thank God we don't have to have it today. But the point of the book was to allow African American travelers in the South and eventually all of North America. That's how widespread racism still was up until 1966, up until now, but to the point where they had to have a book to tell them where they could find lodging, where they could find restaurants and other businesses that would serve them. You know what? How am I not crying right now? I'm too fucking mad to be crying right now. That's why. Plus, we're talking about an incredible film, so let's focus on that. All right. So the film shows these two gentlemen, Tony Lip and Don Shirley, famous piano player. And Tony Lip needs a job because the Copacabana that he works at is undergoing renovations. This takes place in the winter of 1962, which is when it did in real life. That's why they said it in New York and all throughout the Midwest and South. Now, this bothers me. Upon the release of the film, the Shirley family stated that Tony and Doc were not friends, that they had an employer-employee relationship. Now, in January 2019, I believe, audio recordings of an interview with Don Shirley emerged, which stated, "I trusted Tony implicitly. You see, not only was he my driver, but he was my friend. All right. We never had an employer-employee relationship. You don't have time for that bullshit. My life is in this man's hands, so you've got to be friendly with one another." That was an exact quote. So I don't know what the family business be all about when they say they weren't friends. And why are you trying to ruin a movie? Even if they weren't, let people believe that, because the legacy is tainted if this whole thing is pointless if they didn't like each other in real life. This is the third movie for Viggo Mortensen where he was received the Best Actor not win. The first one was Eastern Promises 2007, Captain Fantastic 2016. I want to review both of those movies. This is the first of the three films where he didn't require him to do a full frontal nudity scene to do it. So sweet. Things are moving up in the world for him, I guess. There's a scene in this film where he eats a pizza. Now, you eat pizza all the time. We eat pizza all the time. But he orders an entire pizza, folds it in half, and eats it like a sandwich. Now, this is a real life thing that Tony Lip used to do. He did it on the set of Sopranos. And Viggo Mortensen found that out from the family, and he wanted to make sure that he got it in the film. Peter Farrelly was opposed to doing it, but once he agreed to shoot it, and the crowd, the crew was roaring in hysterical laughter at it, they kept it. They made the cut. So he's like, that's one of the places I was wrong on this one. Yeah, that's right. I said it. The real Tony Lip is best known for playing Carmine Lupertazzi on The Sopranos, 1999, which had one of the best endings in television history. Thank you very much. He's also in several Martin Scorsese movies. Big surprise there. So the writer, Nick Vallelonga, said he spent most of the shoot in tears. And he said that was because the actor's portrayals of his parents were so vivid. Linda Cardellini again, he says, I can't even look at it all. She just makes me lose it. So that's pretty and if you look at the pictures at the end of the film, Viggo Mortensen doesn't really look like Tony Lip, but she looks a lot like the mom. So I get that. The Virgin Mary necklace that Viggo Mortensen wears belonged to Tony Lip, actually. In the family scenes, Tony and Dolores's family scenes, more specifically, those are members of the family, were played by relatives. And Frank Jr., I don't know what happened, but he has some prominent dialogue in a couple scenes, and he passed away in 2022 on December 1st. I don't know what from, but he was just found dead in the Bronx. Sad. But I'm glad he was in this movie. Glad he got to live the life he did with his dad and brother and his family. One of my favorite lines in the film is, Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky? When's that ever going to happen? So, of course, they stop and starts a hilarious interaction with Don Shirley about how he's never had fried chicken before in his life, and just the way he eats it. I would have made that as Oscar clip because it's hilarious. Viggo Mortensen put on 20 pounds to play the role of Tony Lip. They told him he didn't have to do it, but he said he wanted to. He wanted to do it, so he ate nothing but Italian food. And then right before he went to bed, so he would go eat a big Italian meal with extra desserts, and then go to bed. This is one of only 5 films to win the Academy Award for Best Picture without being nominated for Best Director. The other films, I believe, let's see if we can name Argo, 2012, Driving Miss Daisy, 1989, which is actually like the reverse of this movie. Grand Hotel, 1932. That's a hard pull. And Wings, 1927. I believe that was the first Best Picture winner. The first Best Picture winner. Wow. Cool. So this is the last couple things I want to talk about are very niche, I guess. The only person really fascinated by this kind of stuff is me, and that's just because I love the placement of articles in films that you're supposed to look at, and most people don't know what it is that they're looking at. But the people that do, that's what they're put in there for. And I'm going to try and expose a lot of those things. There's a lot of stuff that I don't see. So, I mean, please tell me if there's something in one of my reviews that I don't see that you're like, you should have saw that. In the scene where Don first gets in the car with Tony, there's a poster advertising November 10th, 1962, folk music hootenanny. Headlined by Pete Seeger. Why is this historically significant? I'm out of Greenwich Village and everything. This is the first time Bob Dylan played at Carnegie Hall. And his name is not on that poster. Is the poster historically accurate? I don't know. I wasn't there in 1962. I just know if I could play that show. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about before I go on to my score. Did I mention how much I hate racism? I hate that we have to have movies with this theme, but I love them. I wish Hollywood sensationalizes things so much, and we'll never really truly know what these people went through, what parts of this film actually took place historically, the conversations, the times he was denied service. We just know he was, and they're trying to bring it back to you as best they can. But we're never gonna see it. We're never gonna see the way it is. And you can watch it, but you can't ever live it in that man's shoes. You can't live in the shoes of people that have had racism portrayed against them for years and years. And I just want you to remember to be better. Be better than that. So, all right. All that said, one of the things that actually did happen that they showed in this film, but Hollywood changed it again, and I get why for this one. There's a scene in the film where Tony Lip punches a police officer for calling him the N-word, and consequently they end up in jail together. But in real life, this incident happened. Remember, we're talking about winter of 1962. That actually happened in the fall of 1963, when they went back on tour again on a separate road trip. And that was featured in this film because they wanted to show some of the connections that Don Shirley had. And this is the part that I had to go and do a little bit of research on. So who does Don Shirley call to get them out of jail but Attorney General at the time, Robert Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy. And he helped him get out of jail. And they also mentioned that him and his brother, John F. Kennedy, were helping to change this country. So I saw the timeline of this, knowing that trip took place in the fall of 1963. I don't know the exact date of when he was jailed for this, but if you look and you know anything about history, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in November of 1963. So whenever they made this call to Bobby to get them out of jail, I'm just a little got goosebumps a little, that knowing that John F. Kennedy would have been assassinated shortly after, within a month of this happening. So that concludes all the things I'm going to drop on you for this film. I love this film. It's fantastic. I'm going to give it this is going to seem low to some of you, but I'm looking at the list. I can still love this film knowing that an 80 8.7 is still a really, really freaking good score. That's less than 15 points out of the highest of all time for me so far. That's enough to put it at 13th on our list. And God bless you for watching. Be better to each other. I love you all. See you next time.